Today, our guest is four-time author, including the best-selling book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, Dr. Robert Glover. With more than 40 years in the professional relationship and marriage space, he is a rock star when it comes to what he knows. And let me tell you, it's a lot. I hope you are ready with a pen and paper today to take all kinds of notes, because we certainly in this day and age need a ton of help. Dr. Glover, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, just skip that written bio stuff. Just call me a rock star and we'll go with that.
I like it. I mean, seriously, are you not the rock star in this space of relationship?
Either that or the GOAT. It goes
goat.
back and forth.
I like it. Let's go with the GOAT. He is the GOAT. I think you need to
we'll
change
go
your
with the
bio.
GOAT.
So today, what I really want to emphasize with you and really want to hit is these ideas that I found in your book, because we have a lot of nice guys out there. So let's start with first, being big on definitions that I am. What exactly do you mean when you say a nice guy?
Okay. Nice guy, as I define it in the book, is a man who's inaccurately internalized an emotional belief that he's not okay just as he is. And usually this happens very early in childhood, often like in infancy, where we children misinterpret the experiences of our life. We think they're all about us. So we have a painful experience, uncomfortable experience. We assume we caused it. There's something wrong with us. Then we try to do two things using a very immature, underdeveloped mind to try to manage that. We try to become what we think other people want us to be so that we'll be liked and loved and get our needs met. And second thing is we try to hide anything about us that might get a negative reaction. So we hide our feelings, our wants, our desires, our sexuality, our anger. We press it down because we think, if I let people see that, I'll get hurt. They'll get mad. They'll leave me. I'll get punished. So nice guys are basically chameleons, just trying to become what we think other people want us to be, trying to hide what we think might not go well. So if I was in true nice guy mode talking to you, I'd watch if you're nodding your head. I go, okay, I'm doing it right. If I got a smile from, there we go, I got that smile. Good, I'll keep that up. I know that works. But if you kind of like crossed your arms or kind of, got to look, or, I better not go there. I better backtrack on that one. I better maybe explain it, or, and so there's no you there in the nice guy, no real life person. And so, I begin the book, it kind of maybe surprisingly, because most nice guys, like me, I'm a recovering nice guy, think this is a good thing. Why doesn't everybody, treat people like I would treat people and want to be treated? But I begin the book basically talking about basically all the things that are wrong with being a nice guy and all the ways that nice guys aren't nice. Because if you aren't you, if you're not authentic, if you are not real, if you're not honest, people don't know what you really think or feel or want. You often get passive aggressive. You very rarely have boundaries. You don't ask for what you want. And so that often builds up into frustration and resentment and even rage. So often nice guys are anything but nice. And that can come as a surprise to the nice guy, because it did to me. About 3 years into my second marriage, when my wife said, I can't take this anymore. Everybody thinks you're a nice guy, but you're not. I can't trust you. You don't follow through. You're passive aggressive. I think everything's okay. Then you blow up. You hurt me. You embarrass me. She goes, you need help. If you don't get help, I'm leaving. I thought, you're the one who's mad all the time, never happy, and never wants to have sex anymore. Why do I have to get therapy? But I did. I went in and started working on me and quickly began to realize that this paradigm, this roadmap I had, that if I was different from my father, different from all the bad men I'd heard women complain about, and just, treated women well and was nice and repressed my sexuality, then, I'd be liked and loved and get my needs met. So there's your synopsis of the nice guy.
Basically, how I'm taking this is that it's inauthentic. It's a farce. It's a front.
Yeah, I'm a marriage therapist by training. And, guys were walking into my office with their wives or girlfriends saying, I'm the nicest guy. I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I treat her better than her ex. I'm raising her kids. They're in private school. I buy her everything she wants. I pay for the trips. She wears, well, that's before Lululemon. Now I buy her Lululemon, whatever, I buy her the car with the leather seats. And it's never good enough. She's never happy. She's always mad. She never wants to have sex anymore. And I go, man, I could finish these guys' sentences for them. I thought maybe I was the only one out there kind of thinking this way? Well, if I just treat women really well, like my mom trained me, to be different from my father, and like I heard women complain about all the jerks out there that only wanted one thing. If I was just different, if I listened to what women complained about and be the opposite, they would like me. But for whatever reason, that didn't ever seem to make them happy. But I didn't know any other way to do it, so I just would double down and try harder. And yeah, what my second wife told me is, again, I can't trust you. You blow up. I think everything's fine. She said, I'd rather be with a jerk, because at least I know a jerk's going to treat me bad all the time. You treat me well until you don't, and I don't see it coming. And so I did dive in to working on that dynamic of where it came from, what was a healthy way of being. I remember first therapy session I went to with a therapist, a woman therapist, very first session. She got out a string, put it on the ground, and gave me an introduction to boundaries. Now, I was in my mid-30s, in my second marriage, had a PhD in marriage and family therapy. I had never heard of boundaries. I had no clue what boundaries were. Luckily, I got into some good places. I got into a 12-step group and just started kind of working on revealing myself and letting people see the parts of me I'd always kept hidden. Got into a men's therapy group that was built around sexual shame. Was in that 5 or 6 years, and really just went to work on finding my true self, my authentic self, because you're right. I talk in No More Mr. Nice Guy I talk about the integrated man. Now I could have called that man, integrated man, authentic man, conscious man, but it's the person who's knows himself, is okay with every aspect of himself, his light side, his dark side, his good traits, his warts, his not so good traits. Like, a buddy said to me one time, Robert, you can be a dick, but you're not a dick. And when you can integrate those two things, you'll be happier and people can get closer to you. And that's true. I can be a judgmental motherfucker. But once I quit judging myself and trying to hide that, it's like, oh, I'm being judgmental. I wonder what's up. I just get curious about, what am I stressed about? What am I anxious about? What am I attached to? What am I trying to control? And it makes you a lot more authentic, safer, open, available person if you can just own all of your stuff and accept it, rather than hide it down and push it away where nobody sees it, and where you try not to look at it either.
Essentially, if what I'm hearing is correct, is that it's more about self-validation and acceptance than anything, as opposed to getting your validation from others. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a really core part of it. I mean, in psychology, they call that internal versus external locus of control.
Okay.
And children tend to have a very external locus of control. They need approval. They need validation. They need to be seen and supported and taken care of. But as we grow through adolescence and adulthood, theoretically, we should develop more of an internal locus of control, meaning I can make up my own mind. I can know what I want, what I think, what I feel, what I desire. I can act on that. I can follow through on that. I can say no. I can say stop. I can remove myself. That's internal locus of control. And with nice guys, yes, we're often people pleasers, often seeking that external validation. If you like me, I must be okay. And for most nice guys, well, say most straight nice guys, if a pretty woman seems to like him or think he's okay, there's just tons of validation in that. So nice guys do give a lot of power away to women in general, but especially women that they're attracted to, and they want to be attracted to them. Because if the woman's attracted to them, oh, I'm good, I'm desired. I just got off a call, just before I got on this call, with an exploration intake call with a guy that's probably going to work with me. And a good-looking guy, good shape, good job, very smart, and just struggles to connect with women. And he thinks, well, they're not attracted to me, they don't want, and it's like, this guy's got everything going for him, but if a woman like walks by him and doesn't like talk to him or acknowledge him, he takes it personally. He feels hurt and takes that on. And I said, we're gonna have to work on that. And he goes, well, but you know what? It was rude if they don't talk. I go, well, we're gonna have to work on that. And then, when the women he's attracted to don't give him the time of day, he internalizes that and ruminates about it. But the women who maybe are not like in his spotlight, maybe notice him, pay attention to him, ask him questions, kind of, whatever women do when they want your attention. It's like that doesn't even register on his radar. So he thinks women aren't attracted to him. So many men like him I work with, if they've not dated well or never had a girlfriend, or the women they're attracted to don't seem to be attracted back to them, they internalize all that they're not good enough. They're fundamentally unlovable and undesirable. And in fact, I'll broaden that. A pattern I see, you say you work with a lot of men. A
Yes.
pattern I see in men today, maybe this was more true for women in the past, but I really see it in a lot of men, is that men get their personal identity from what I'll just generalize and call relationship success. So if a man, for example, has not understood how to date or talk, interact with women, well, he'll feel like he's a loser if he's never had a girlfriend, or if he doesn't, if he's waiting for the women to hit on him and, approach him, or if he's never had sex, or if he maybe has had girlfriends, but they don't ever last more than 6 weeks, and maybe he's 35 or 40 and never had a long-term relationship. He feels like there's something wrong with him. The guys in a relationship that aren't going so well, their girlfriends or wives that get to where they don't want to have sex with them anymore, they wonder what's wrong with them. The men who have been divorced, and in society it says, well, if you get divorced, you failed. There's a failed marriage. I hate that term. But it's a failed marriage, so there's something wrong with you. And so now I see so many men out there that if they're not firing on all cylinders perfectly in terms of their relatableness with women, like if they don't have a hot, desirable woman head over heels with them, wanting to have sex, at any given moment, and thinking they're amazing, they think there's something wrong with them. And it's such a skewed way of looking at our personal identity. And so for like the guys that, haven't had a lot of success with women, every woman who doesn't want to date them or give them a phone number or whatever, they automatically assume every other woman is going to feel exactly the same, and every woman can see right through them and see that they're just not worth anything. And so, yeah, that external validation, especially from women that they desire and want to be desired by, is a huge, huge X factor for nice guys.
I see that all the time, those things that you're saying where men get their validation from women. And it drives me crazy.
It
To
does
be
drive
real. I'm
women
like,
crazy.
stop doing that.
Stop it. I've talked to women, again, I've been a marriage therapist, started 40 years ago. And so I've listened to a lot of women. I primarily work with men these days, but I've listened to a lot of women. Yeah, that kind of behavior drives women crazy, whether it's the
Yeah,
guy
it's
that
so
won't just
off-putting.
walk up and talk to her, or the guy that's waiting for the woman to read his mind, or the guy waiting for the woman to make the first move of some kind. Women go, why do they do that? I usually tell women, well, because you scare us. And women go, why? I go, because you're scary. That's
We're
why.
mischief creatures.
You're Mr. And you tend to scare us. So we're trying to figure you guys out and figure out how to make you happy and
Well,
turn
good
you
luck.
on.
We
And
don't. We can't
yeah,
even figure out ourselves. Good luck, guys.
exactly. Yeah. And men are trying to figure that out, game it, hack it, make it work, make women happy all the time, make them always want to have sex. And then they think there's something wrong with them when they don't do that very well. And the women are just going, hey, just let me be crazy. Just let me be myself. Let me be this. Let me be in a bad mood. I'll get over it,
Yeah.
right? And the
Yeah.
guy's going, how can I fix it? I'm talking about me. How can I fix it? How can I fix it? How can I get it back to good? I want smooth around me. And, it isn't. And that's okay. But for men, we're fixers. We want to fix everything and make everything good. So we got to, constantly be measuring. What's up? What's wrong? Are you okay? You got that look on your face. You look mad. You look upset. And getting just that constant validation. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? And like women tell me, I don't want a fucking little boy trying to, figure out is mommy okay? And I've got to take care of his fragile feelings and ego and make him,
Right.
and, yeah, you women tell me you get
Gross.
tired of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do see that a lot of women say, where are all the real men at? And that they can't find men that they're attracted to. And I think this is what they mean, because this is not just a physical thing. A man is exactly this case that you were just talking about with your consult earlier, and that he seems to be physically fine.
Yeah.
he can't seem to really make progress in the relationship department. And it's because I will tell you, as a female, there's plenty of like exteriorly handsome men, but there's so many that cannot hold basic conversations and who are just so soft and weak, and you could just tell mentally they are just like Play-Doh. There's just
Yeah.
like no strength there. Do you think this is what women mean by when they say that they can't find any? Where are all the real men?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, of course I've heard that as well. Yeah, like for example, without going too far off on this other guy, he is good looking. You know, he totally works out, had nice clothes on, has a good job, has money, very intelligent, advanced degrees, speaks multiple languages. And I said, really, I work with a lot of men like you, got everything going for you. And I said, but usually the X factor that's missing is energetic. It's not
The
how you
energy.
look.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like the ability to create polarity, to create what I call positive emotional tension, to where the woman feels something. Women tell me,
Right.
I just got to feel something. You know, whether it's the butterflies, the anticipation, you know, the tingle down below, you know, the fantasy about what would it be like to be kissed by him. You know, you want that kind of energy state. And when the man's being heady or intellectual or passive or not wanting to risk or look foolish or get something wrong, you get bored in a really big hurry.
When somebody will ask me, what do you love the most about your husband? And I always answer, he's fun. Man, life can be intense, and you got work and the kids, and you need that fun, playful aspect into the relationship. So if you find a guy who can take everyday life and sprinkle fun into it just in living, that is so
Yeah.
attractive. Also, another thing is the ability, because I know that you don't have a lack of this, is your ability to have just conversations with humans and being able to carry a back and forth conversation. It is such a skill because men are so isolated nowadays that I would say the majority of guys just don't have. You can have money, and that might buy a woman temporarily. If you can get confidence, fun, and the ability to maintain conversations, you can't buy that. And you're never going to have problems attracting women if you can really anchor into those.
Be this kind of guy we're talking about, that, you know, be you, and just show up and be you. When I started having dating success in my late 40s and 50s, guys would say, Robert, teach us, what are you doing? I go, I'm not a dating coach. You know, I never had been any good at it. And so I started trying to figure out, well, okay, what am I doing that has given me success? Part of it was, again, just being comfortable in my own skin, becoming a social animal. I worked at learning to have conversations. And so I'd go into like coffee shops and just wherever I'd go. If somebody's nearby me, how's your day going so far? What's good here? Oh, what's your drink? You know, I'd talk to bartenders. I'd get to know their names. I've not lived in the city I used to live for 20 years. And I'd still go into some of the restaurants there, in the nice restaurants and the bars. Bartenders are still there. They still know my name, you know,
No,
because I
seriously.
got to know them. And I'm not even a heavy drinker. I was there at happy hour just to eat the food. And so I became that social animal. And again, I'd walk in a room, and like if I knew the waiter or waitress or the bartender the women in the room kind of look and go, who is that guy? Who is that guy? And they'd see that I could have a conversation. And the women would gravitate to that because, as you say, you know, most of you girls like to talk. And, you know, guys think, well, I don't know what to say. And I go, you don't really have to worry about that. Usually the woman will do enough of the talking, but you
Right.
better be able to have a conversation. And what I would teach the men is just blurt. If it's in the front of your head, blurt it out. And guys go, oh, but what if I say something wrong or say something stupid? I go, exactly. That's the problem. You're censoring yourself. You're pre-rejecting yourself because you don't want to upset her, right? You're so tied into needing her approval and validation. You don't risk. And because you don't risk, you're boring. And she turns around and walks away and you think there's something wrong with you. And I'll say, just, you know, blurt, be silly, be irreverent, you know, take a risk and tease her. And they go, well, I don't know what to say. I'm not funny. And I go, I know you're funny, but you got a dry sense of humor, but you're funny. And I go, but what happens is that little funny thought gets right there, tip of your brain, and then you block it. Oh, I better not say that. Or maybe then you do say it 12 seconds too late because you were overthinking it, and now nobody gets it, right? But in that moment, it would have been brilliant if you just blurted, acted on impulse, and didn't hold back. But again, most men are so afraid that they're going to do the wrong thing, upset you. And our belief is once a woman's upset, she never gets over it. But most of the time, you girls get over it, right? Yeah, something
We do.
bothers you, but
Give it some time. Just let us process it.
then
And
then just like look over later. You still
yeah,
being pissy about that?
yeah,
Yeah, give me
exactly.
more
How
time.
you feeling?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
A
So
woman
again,
just sometimes needs time. That's all. There's nothing you need to do to fix things. Just
that's why we need
let
our
her
guy
be.
friends. Go hang out with the guy friends. Give her time. Kind of
Give her
like
time to settle.
Pink saying, go away and let me miss you. And when you come back, I want to kiss you.
I am curious though, because when you do have these guys that are married, and the majority of my audience, I would say, are married or want to be, it's natural for a man to take his wife's opinions into account. And
Sure.
so, how does a man stay solid and having boundaries while at the same time not being a nice guy? Because women absolutely love boundaries, which is something that men find kind of crazy, and they truly love when you tell them no. And
Yeah.
this is, I think, the biggest mistake guys make in their marriage is that they've become so soft and so timid with their wife, and they don't know what the word no means because they've never spoken it.
Yeah, exactly. Again, these are the things that women have told me for years. My wife, we've been married 8.5 years, generous, open-hearted, loving woman. And I remember when we were dating, she'd tell me, I love it when you tell me no. And she goes, I don't want to be with a man. I say jump and he says how high. This was all in Spanish and we were probably using apps to try to figure out what was. And I remember one time she bought this old piece of shit car and I'd picked her up and I was taking her to her workplace. I think we'd gone to get something to eat and I was taking her back to her workplace. And it was on a series of one-way streets, one-way street, one-way street, one-way street, one-way street to get her back to her workplace. So I'm going here and her workplace was here and I'm driving because she wanted me to drive because she wanted me to be her man and drive.
Right.
It's her car, but she wanted me to drive it. So she said, just pull over here and let me out. I didn't say a word. I went up to the next intersection, to the next one-way street. And she goes, you can let me out here. I didn't say a word. I turned left, went down the next corner. You can let me out here. And I didn't say a word, went to the next section, turned left and dropped her off right in front of her spa that she worked at. And she goes, I love it when you tell me no, and gave me a big hug and thank you. So the fact that I didn't let her tell me where to let her out, she loved that. She loved that strength. Now, that wasn't me being controlling. That wasn't me being dominating. That wasn't me trying to get my way. It was me, no, I'm going to let you out right in front of where you work. Not on a corner, not over here, not a block away, and I can get you there. And she loved it that every time she tried to direct me, I didn't give in to her. And she's still that way after 8.5 years of marriage. She loves my strength. It's a polarity thing, a masculine, feminine polarity thing, where the man's the solid container, the boundaries that you mentioned, the woman's flows and can push up against it and feel secure in it. And I tell guys, I'm not a real masculine, energetic guy by nature. Now, I love living with purpose. I love my work. I love things like that. But I like to wear nice clothes and dress well, and I paint my toenails at times, or my wife does it. And I'm sensitive, and I like people to like me, and I love my dog, and so I've got that strong feminine side. And I found it only really takes a few things. Like for example, when I was dating a woman back after, when I got single back in my late 40s and 50s. I'd met her, gone on one date with her. She lived in Germany, but she's visiting Seattle. Went back to Germany. And she said, you want to come visit me? We'd been on one date. We hadn't even kissed. And I go, yeah, sure, why not? So I flew to Germany, and then she worked as a purser for an airline. And so we flew to London. I'd never been to London. And we just went around, did stuff, and went to Harrods and saw stuff, everything. And she stopped me. She said, Robert, are you going to open the door for me or not? I go, I felt my, I did something wrong. She goes, no, I don't care. If you open the door, great. But you open it sometimes, but sometimes you don't. I don't know. Should I wait? She goes, I don't care. I can open my own door, but I go, I'll open the door for you. Since that moment, I've trained every woman I've been with, including my mother and my granddaughter, who just graduated from high school this year. I've trained them to wait for me to open their door. And so my wife waits. Every now and then she'll test and she'll kind of get out of her side of it. I'll walk around and go, when did the rules change? And I'll chest bump her. I'll open the door. Get back in there. Close the door. Open it again. I go, hold my hand out. It's a Jeep, so she got to step down. So it's nice to have my hand. And I go, now you can get out. And just the simple thing of teaching the woman in your life, every door, not just some, every door. Wait for me, I'll open the door. Going into buildings, leaving the building. If you're walking down a sidewalk, move her inside the sidewalk away from traffic. Put your hand on her back. Take her hand, lead her. Put your hand on her back while you open the door. Sometimes you have to go through the door first and hold it while she walks in. That teaches a woman you're paying attention. You're conscious. You're creating that container of safety because you women are wired, evolution, to look to us as provider protectors. You can open your own door. You can pay your own bills. You can buy your own car. You can have your own job. You don't need us. But it still makes you feel safe and secure and loved and desired. If you train your woman.
I use the same wording, so go. We're gonna go with it. I like it.
Yeah, I put it in quotes. I have a chapter in a class I teach that everything I learned about women, I learned in salsa class and dog obedience school. And so train her to wait for you to open the door. And I tell guys, once you start that, you better not fuck up. You better not, you're on your cell and you forget to open the door. And
Right.
if she's sitting there waiting in the car and you got out and walked away, oh man, you are going to, well, you may not hear about it. You may get the silent treatment for a while. She'll either come, you told me to wait, I waited on you, I'm never going to trust you again, blah, 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 or you're going to get the silent treatment, one of the two. But I tell guys, do that consistently. It's such a little hack, but it kind of builds to where a woman feels safe and secure and likes that. And I've only had one woman, and since I started doing that 20 years ago, one woman resisted, just one. You want to hear that story? It's a pretty good story.
Why not?
Let's
We're
go with
here.
it. Oh,
Let's
I
do
love
it.
the story. Okay, so I'd gone on, I think it was a Match.com date. This woman and I connected because we both salsa danced. I'd been taking lessons for a little while. And so she lived in Seattle. I lived in a suburb, and it was about 30, 40 minutes away. And I said, all right, pick a place near where you live, and I'll come meet you. And we went, and I think, had a coffee or a drink or something. And I said, I'm hungry. It's your neighborhood. Is there like a place nearby to get something to eat? And she goes, yeah, just a couple blocks up the street. I said, okay, we can go in my car. And she said, sure. I was driving a Mercedes E-Class at that time. And so I go over, hit the fob, open the door, and put her in and close the door, right? We drive, the diner was just a few blocks away. And I park on the street. I just touched the top of her leg and said, wait for me, I'll come open your door. Well, she jumps out, right? And I go around and she beats me to the front door of the diner and opens it and goes in. And then we go and sit down and she goes, I just need to tell you, I don't like to be told what to do. I go, well, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I said, if you hang out with me, I'll open the door. No, I don't like men controlling me. I go, I have no desire to control you, but if you hang out with me, I'll open the door. Right? And she kind of pushed on that a couple of times. And I don't want to control her. I didn't want to tell her what to do, but I opened the door for the women in my life. And I didn't make a fuss of it. I just stayed strong, right? I stayed in my frame, right? I'm salsa, right? I got my frame.
Right.
And so we get done having a little bite to eat. We go out. She beats me to the front door, heads out, gets to the car, but I've got the power here. I've got the door remote.
You got the fob.
I got the fob. So I wait. I open it, open the door for her, put her in, drive her back to her car. She jumps out again. I say, nice to meet you. Good luck with, all your dating. I'm driving away thinking, another one and done. This woman writes me back the next day, I think. She goes, I'd like to see you again. She goes, maybe we got off onto the wrong start, but I don't like to be told what to do, and I don't want to be controlled by a man. And I wrote her back, and I said, I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't want to control you, but if you hang out with me, I'll open your door. And she goes, well, I'd like to see you again. So I thought, okay, experiment. I'm going to tell her what to do a bunch. So I write her back. Meet me at this restaurant, at this place, at this time, this day, this time. We're going to get, some tapas, and then we're going to walk up the street to Century Ballroom, and we're going to go dancing. And I said, I've got an early day the next day, so we can't stay too late. And so, we'll have a pretty early evening with it. And so I'll meet you there. She goes, okay. So I've told her what to do, right? This. And then we get there. She's waiting for me outside. She waits for me to open the door. She goes in. And she goes, I'm sorry we got off the wrong. I just don't like to be told what to do. I don't like a man. I said, I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't want to control you. But if you hang out with me, I'll open the door. We eat some, leave, she waits. I open the door. We walk up the street. We get to the dance hall. I open the door. For the next hour or so, I lead her around the dance floor, right? I am, the lead. She's following every lead. She's loving it. I said, I gotta go. I got an early morning. I'll walk you back to your car. We walk 2-3 blocks to her car, and it is parked in a different place than where I was. And I was gonna just kind of, maybe give her a handshake, kiss on the cheek, tell her good night. She throws her arms around my neck, wraps her legs around my leg, sticks her tongue down my throat, and starts dry humping me on the sidewalk next to her car. And I said, I think this is about as far as we can go on a city sidewalk. So this is a woman that said, don't tell me what to do. This is the only woman who ever resisted me opening her door, and she wanted to hump me right there and right then because of that tension, that energy, that polarity, the strength that I brought that let her be the storm, and it was okay. I was okay with it. I wasn't affected by her storm. I stayed solid, and then she wanted to just melt into that solidness.
First of all, you reiterated that you heard her. You never even reworded. You just kept saying the same thing over and over. I love how that was handled in all regard.
The proof's in the pudding. The polarity and the energy activated something inside of her that she wanted to get close to, right? Her brain was going, I don't want to be controlled. I've been controlled by men. But her body was going, this sure does feel good. I want more of it. I want to get close to it. And I'm sure you will attest, you women often have battles between your brain and your body. Your brain telling you one thing, that's why you go for the bad boys. Your brain says, he's a loser, but your body goes, but I sure do like how I feel.
I kind of had my own epiphany with that. I remember one time, my husband and I, before we got married, but we were standing at the fridge and we were kind of arguing about something back and forth. It wasn't even a big argument, but it was like back and forth, and he was really standing his ground and not moving and shaking. And on one hand, I was pissed off, like I wasn't winning the argument, but on the other hand, I was turned on. And I remember kind of like coming outside as an observer, not understanding myself. I'm like, what is going on here?
Your mind's getting all dirty and thinking what you want to do to him while you're still pissed off. My wife has told me many times, said, I'll never tell you no to sex. And says, I even if I'm angry at you, I won't tell you no because I'm never angry at your cock. She'll get angry at me and I'm going, why am I trying to figure out how to make her not be angry? I've got an open invitation. It's not that complicated. My second wife, who was also a very strong woman, she would tell me, she said, if you can't stand up to me, how will I ever know you'll stand up for me?
Exactly.
And she said, I'm just a little girl making noise. And she says, when you get all like this, when I'm, she goes, I don't feel safe with that. She would tell me that. I understand it. She was right. How could she feel safe with a little boy that mommy's upset? I better make it better. Oh no, I better not do that again. When she said, I'm just a little girl making noise, I'm thinking about you standing in front of the refrigerator. Yeah, you're pounding on his chest trying to make your point, and you're going, I'd sure like to do him right now. Because he stayed strong. He stayed a man with you. He didn't revert into a little boy trying to get your approval back, which takes us full circle back to where we started talking about that need for men to get women's approval. Being firm and strong and dependable and trustworthy and a force of nature, that is a turn on for the woman, not getting her approval.
There's a couple really key things. There's a bunch of great things in your book, but one thing I really wanted to ask you about was there's certain behavior that if you pay attention to it, it just gets worse or remains. But you can't just ignore disrespect. Which behaviors can they ignore and what do they need to address?
Good question. When I mentioned, things I learned in dog obedience school, the term I use for this is giving the dog a treat for pissing on the carpet. Now, I know that doesn't sound, you got to keep it in context. In dog obedience school, what I learned quick, I went to dog obedience school when I had a Weimaraner several years ago. And I've got a pit bull now. Nala's somewhere in here. And, they taught us that if you reward behavior, it will get repeated. it gets reinforced. And for animals, there's two primary rewards of behavior. And we're animals, by the way. Two primary rewards of behavior. One is food, the other is attention. You give an animal food for doing something. I train Nala, my pit bull, to shake. She can shake with both hands. That's not a natural dog behavior, but I trained her with enough cashews that she easily, Yesterday it was with chicharron, fried pork. She'll beg and sit and shake both hands. So I trained her by repetitive behavior, rewarding it with food and attention. Okay. And so we humans are the same way. If you pay attention to something, it will get reinforced. It's true in children. It's true with adults. And so here's what happens with a lot of men in their relationships. And I'm guilty of this as much as anybody. My partner, my woman, whatever, behaves in a way that I don't like. Accuses me of looking at a woman's ass. Accuses me of this, or throws a tantrum of some sort, or says something disrespectful. I haven't had to deal with that in years, but I did in the past. But my wife does not say disrespectful things. Now, she does accuse me of looking at women's asses when I go, "What woman? Point her out to me. Then I'll look at her ass." But she's a jealous Latina. But here's the deal. If you pay attention to the very behavior you dislike, you're rewarding it and reinforcing it. And then you shouldn't be surprised when it shows up again. That's why I call it giving the dog a treat for pissing on the carpet. If I give Nala a liver snap for doing something bad, she's going to keep doing it. And if attention is the greatest reward, if we pay attention to something, it will probably keep coming back up. So for example, a lot of times women tell me, yeah, I know I do shitty things. I'll say this thing, or I'll start this fight, or I'll pout, or I'll withdraw, or give them the silent treatment. And the truth is, you just really want a connection. That's your deepest desire. Your deepest desire is connection and the flow of love and a sense of security. And when you're not feeling those things, you tend to act badly. And instead of saying to your man, "I'm not feeling connected to you. Can you help me with that?" Or "I'm not feeling loved by you. Can you love me more?" You do something that gets his attention. And then it's a cheap substitute for feeling love, security, or the love, security, or connection. But you'll take it because it's better than not feeling any kind of connection. So you might be disrespectful. You might give them the cold shoulder. You might withdraw. You might flirt with that waiter. You might do the thing that gets a reaction. You know what you're doing. You know it doesn't serve the relationship, but you want to feel that connection and flow of love and a sense of security. So for example, with my wife, if ever she's behaving in a way that gets my attention, right, that triggers my nervous system, that I need to jump in and pay attention, I've learned to both calm myself and soothe myself. I've got my baggage that gets triggered. And I tell myself, my woman's either not feeling sufficiently loved by me right now, not feeling sufficiently connected to me right now, or not feeling sufficiently secure with me right now. Is there anything I can do to help any of those three things? Usually in that moment, what I've learned works best is if I just get in the moment, I get grounded, get my feet on the ground, regulate my breathing, get solid. I bring her into the moment, because when you're feeling all those things, you're not actually in the moment. You're probably in some trauma state from your past or projecting into the future, right? You're not right here. You're in the time machine. And so for me, with my wife, if I can be in the here and now, and what I usually do will start creating a little bit of polarity with her. And again, I'm not perfect at this stuff, but I've actually gotten okay at it. It seems to work. But I've already reframed it. She needs more love. She needs more connection. She needs more security. And often that means me just being present. So I'll say, "Come here. Come here." No. So let's go to my office. Let's go sit down. No, come on. We're going to my office. And she does. And we'll sit down. I'll go, "Look at me." No. Look at me. Look at my eyes. All right, talk to me. What's going on? And she usually go, "Nothing." Nada. It's Spanish. Nada. I go, "No, nada's nunca nada. Nothing's never nothing. There's something." And I go, "What is it?" "Same old thing." I go, well, you got about 12 same old things. Which one is this? Is this, I looked at some woman's butt, you think I have a girlfriend in Austin, or you think I'm fucking the next door neighbor? That one. Okay. All right. So why do you think I'm fucking the next door neighbor? Because, I saw her looking out her bedroom window. Okay. All right. All right. Do you know how much I love you? Look at me. Look at my eyes. And I'll just keep talking to her. I'll be in the now. I'll be in the present. I'll keep breathing with her. And I'll go, you know how much I love you? Keep telling me. Talk to me what's on your mind. I want to hear what's on your mind. I might start nuzzling her neck a little bit, and just kind of chew on her neck a little bit. I go, you smell good. You go, stop that. I go, okay. I go, you know how fucking sexy you are? Just anything to be present, get her in the moment, present with me, create the polarity. I'm telling her what to do. Like I was telling that woman, wait for me, open your door. I'm telling her what to do. Come in my office, sit down, talk to me, look at me, look at my eyes. And if I can get her to look at my eyes, even if she's crying, because usually she starts crying somewhere in there, right? Because she's hurt. Something doesn't feel good inside of her. And I just kind of got to get her to that place where she can start crying. Now, sometimes, I'll like be in the kitchen or something, and she'll walk in. I go, what? And she goes, nothing. I go, no, there's something. We'll start it. And I go, listen, stop. I said, tell you what, how about we just skip all of this? I start yelling at you, say some really hurtful things to you, maybe throw something across the room, and then you cry and I hold you. She goes, no, it's not the same if you're not really mad at me. I go, okay. And then it's broken the ice. Now we'll kind of laugh and we can talk. Okay, so what is it? You think I'm fucking the next door neighbor? Uh-huh. Okay, let's talk about that. Why do you think I'm fucking the next door neighbor? But I know she's just wanting more love. She's just wanting a sense of security. By the way, where she grew up, everybody regularly fucks the next door neighbor. That's the world she grew up in. That's the norm.
That's the norm, huh?
That was not the norm I grew up with, but it's the norm she grew up with, right? She saw it all the time. She's had it happen to her. So, it's her
I
norm.
guess my neighbors aren't sexy enough, man.
Well, we got this house that they rented out to rooms, and for whatever reason, the room on the back corner that looks down on our backyard and courtyard and swimming pool, they always rent it to 22-year-old girls. Why that consistently is, I don't know. So one day, but Lupita came walking in, and again, this is her trauma stuff, right, from her past that gets brought into the present. That's what most of our fights are about in a relationship. This old stuff's getting brought into the present. We project it onto each other. That's the beauty of a relationship. They're such powerful personal growth machines. We're going to trigger each other's stuff. And if we know that and stay conscious, we can help each other clean this stuff out. So she comes walking in, and I go, what? And, it starts saying, okay, what is it? And I go, the neighbor. She goes, yeah. I go, what? She goes, she hung a hand towel in the bathroom window. And you tell me. You want me to tell you what? You tell me why she hung that hand towel in the bathroom window. I don't know. That was the signal for me to come over and fuck her? Well, what else could it mean? And I go, I have no clue.
Such a typical woman conversation and how we connect dots that are not there. We do it all the time.
And if we could laugh about it, and I go, what else? You're right. What else could it mean? I don't know. Maybe she dried her hands off and stuck in the window to dry. But to try to argue the logic of it would not have served anything. And then usually it just comes down to my wife going, I know I'm crazy. I go, yeah, but I love you. And she goes, listen, if you just want a younger woman, just go get a younger woman. And I go, listen, if I get any younger than you, I get into the stupid zone. I said, I know the crazy that you bring. I don't need some other kind of crazy. So please, you're fine. You're plenty young for me. Well, maybe you want somebody who speaks English. No. I've been there, done that. I want someone who speaks Spanish. You're great. So yeah, all that stuff just comes up. So it's because she's not feeling sufficiently loved, sufficiently connected, or sufficiently secure. And I don't need to fix that, but is there something I can do about it? Because I do love her, and I don't want her to be in pain. Now, if I go try to fix stuff or defend myself or talk her out, I didn't try to talk her out of what that towel in the window meant. I did laugh about it, which probably she goes, wait a minute,
I
he's not
didn't
supposed to
help.
be laughing at this. He's supposed to be mad at me. He's supposed to be fighting with me about it.
That's really funny. That's a funny story to tell. I am curious. A lot of times when we have former nice guys like you, where they finally do kind of realize what they've done and the mistake of their ways and how it contributed to a divorce. And then you have these guys who now take one or two camps where they're just, I'm not ever trusting women again.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that you didn't take that route. Why were you open to remarriage? What's the allure of marriage for a guy like you who seemed to have kind of figured out and you can, basically get laid whenever you want?
Yeah, I brought my share of baggage to my previous relationships. When I got out in the dating world and started dating some nice girls who wouldn't say one way or another what they wanted or wouldn't tell me if I'd hurt their feelings, or I go, oh man, I got empathy for my exes. I mean, this is what they had to deal with me. And I didn't provide any kind of leadership. I was always, what do you want to do, dear? Oh, okay, yeah, whatever makes you happy. So I had empathy for what my exes went through with me as a nice guy. Now I did start working on the nice guy issues in the second marriage. And it was a trial by error, learn as you go kind of thing. And like a lot of nice guys, I'm sure I went to the other extreme and, became the asshole jerk, became the kamikaze boundary setter. But, you kind of got to learn your way and figure the way through it. A few things that helped me when I became single. So I was single through like my late 40s up to about 60. And I'll be 70 this end of this year. And so I had relationships in there. And I dated quite a bit and got laid quite a bit. And so I realized, okay, I can do this, right? I had a confidence. I can date. I can date a whole range of women. I could say the majority, but I'll correct that. They were all younger than me. I don't chase younger women. I don't chase women. But younger women come on to me. To this day, when my wife gets jealous, it's always younger women flirting with me, and they do. They do. Again, they just feel that comfortable in my own skin, know where I'm going, having a good time getting there. 18-year-olds don't distinguish between, is this man 2 years older than me, 20 years older, 40? They just know it feels good. If they feel that maturity, that strength, and that feels better than the boys their own age. And believe it even goes younger than that, but we won't talk about that. I for sure don't act on that, but I see it. My wife points it out to me. Could I have stayed single and just, I slept with 4 women in one weekend. Not because I was trying to, it's just the stars lined up and it worked. But I realized once I knew I could do it, it's kind of like, I kind of like being with one person, somebody that I feel a sense of connection with, that I like, that I want to see again after I have sex with them. And so I really, really kind of cut that back to where, I kind of a more monogamous self in me just naturally evolved, where I just preferred to be with one person. But I was still saying I'll never live with a woman again, never marry again, never raise another man's kids. I mean, you can order podcasts that I've recorded on dating and relationship. I say that, right? And for now, 8.5 years, 9 years, I moved in with a woman moved in with me, married her, and I'm raising her kids. Her son just turned 19 2 days ago. I said that. And then as Lupita and I, we got to know each other, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend our form of dating or getting in. We basically just had sex for a year. She'd come over to my house Saturday night. We'd have sex, something to eat. I'd give her taxi money and babysitter money and send her on her way, see her the next Saturday. And after about a year of that, she said, I like being with you. And that actually kind of scared me until I sat with it for a week and thought, I like her too. She's funny. She's smart. I enjoy her. She cracks me up. Love sex with her. And so we started dating, met her kids. And then I bought a house, pretty decent sized house, 5 bathrooms, a swimming pool. And I moved her and the kids in. She told me years later, she goes, I didn't know you were going to move us into the house. I go, what did you think? You were living in a fucking ghetto. You didn't even have windows on your house, and you didn't have a door on your bathroom. I got this house. I'm like, what? You can come visit me and the kids can swim in the pool. And so moved in. I got to thinking, all right, why am I opposed to getting married again? And two things came up. One, if I was not projecting my past wounds and hurts on her from other women, I mean, she did not cause these wounds over here. That's not her fault. That's not on her. I let other women do that, right? That's on me. I let them do that, right? And well, if I had not have let them do that, would I have those issues projecting onto Lupita? No, that's not her fault. Okay, knock that one down. The other question was, what's the most loving thing to do? She'd never been married. She'd left the father of her two kids and ran away to Puerto Vallarta to get away from him. He was abusive. The kids don't see their father. I'm Poppy. I thought, well, what's the most loving thing to do? And she told me, she didn't push me to get married, but she always said, if I get married, I'm going to be married to one man for all my life. And, I thought, what's the most loving thing to do? What would make her feel the most loved? What would make her feel the most secure? What would make her feel the most connected? I thought, we're getting married. Have I had second thoughts about it? Yeah, a couple times. We've had our issues. Could I have stayed single? Yeah, I could have. I like being in a relationship. I like having a partner. And I think there's a part of me that maybe just knows I got, whatever you want to call it, karma, epigenetics, childhood trauma, whatever it is, I got stuff to work on, and it gets best worked on in the context of a relationship because that's where it gets triggered. That's where it comes up. And I'm kind of all about doing the work. And so what better way to do the work than to do it with somebody that I love and who loves me and who we trigger each other.
These guys are just like, they've had enough, and they're like, I'm not going to subject myself to that pain and that hurt. And many times it's not just that, it's the financial risk.
Oh yeah, I mean,
associated.
and luckily I never, took a beating going through a divorce financially. I mean, I had to fight for myself a couple of times, but it wasn't ever overly traumatic. And so, yeah, I didn't get beat up by the courts. I'm a big fan of let's take accountability for wherever we're at. And if we were in a situation with a woman who we let treat us bad and put us through the ringer and take advantage of us, what are we going to learn from that? That's on us, right? Are there some crappy women out there? Yeah, there's crappy men out there too. And if we get with a crappy woman and stay with her, whose fault is that? That's on us, right? That's not her fault. She's a crappy woman. But we chose to stay with her and chose to let her treat us bad. That doesn't mean all the other women out there are crappy. In fact, there's probably a reason we picked that crappy woman and stayed with her. There was probably something we were recreating in our unconscious, and we did that unconsciously. Either that, she was young and hot and sexy, and we didn't think we could get another one like that, so we put up with all her bullshit.
She was there, and
she is
great
hot
at the time,
yeah.
and we were having
she
good
used to
sex
be
at the
good
time, and she had me. So that was my extent of the vetting. Well, Dr. Glover, I know that you have another appointment to attend to, so I just want to be respectful of your time here. But I do want to thank you so much. What's the best place to send people? I'm going to say guys.
Puerto Vallarta.
And maybe some
Yeah,
females
send them to
too.
Puerto Vallarta.
What's the best place to send them?
Okay, drglover.com is my website with my courses, my workshops, my programs. integrationnation.net is my men's membership program. That's where I'm building community with men to build that foundation so we can have the good relationships with women. So those are two places. If they want to come look for me on YouTube, Instagram, just go look for Dr. Glover Official at either of those places.
All right, Dr. Glover, thanks again. Bye-bye.